topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Illinois. Welcome to the Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, good Friday. Sunday is Easter. We want to wish everybody a happy and blessed Easter. Today's show, oh God, the timing could not be any better. We started promoting this show 2 days ago. And it is our bankruptcy and our tax relief show. And we started promoting it, and we got probably about 10 or 15 emails, basically every one of them having the same question, which we are going to ask our expert today. This show is very special. Kevin Benjamin has been doing this show with us for about 3 years now. And it's become such a popular show that we are taking the tax relief portion of the show and we're running it across the country, and we're even repeating it on different times, which we will let you know about. That's how important this show has become. So let me welcome you to our expert, and I do mean our expert, attorney, Kevin Benjamin. Good afternoon, attorney.
How you doing, Steve? Thanks.
We're doing well. How is everything in Chicago?
Good.
Well, Kevin, I got to tell you, I started to tell you right before the show. So, and we're going to tell people about your firm in just a minute. But the two biggest questions are, what if I can't pay my taxes? Tax day was the 15th. And what if I didn't get my taxes in? And it was all probably 10 to 15 people who wrote, can you please ask the attorney, what can I do? Well, first thing you need to do is you need to call Kevin's office at 312-853-3100. Kevin, tell people, first of all, about your firm.
Okay, well, we're basically a bankruptcy and tax resolution firm based in Chicago, Illinois. We help people get out of debt or restructure debt or do tax resolution, sometimes with the state, but usually with the IRS. And I can represent people with appeals, U.S. tax courts. I have some clients that are in the criminal tax division of the IRS. Hopefully nobody needs that. And that's it.
And Kevin, if a person has a federal tax problem, it doesn't matter what state or city they're in, they can still contact you.
Yeah, for tax matters, sure. Yeah. The IRS is, nationally. So I don't promote myself nationally, but I have clients in other jurisdictions. They find you. So
well, we do. We promote your
yeah.
show.
Right.
So
right.
we know that. And then we also, because most people listen to our show on either iHeart or Spotify. We are running Kevin's on our YouTube Vision. We're running his phone number, but we know most of you are listening on iHeart and Spotify. So we'll be giving out Kevin's phone number from time to time during the show. So Kevin, these big questions that everybody had right after the 15th this week. What do I do if I don't have the money to pay my taxes right now, or I didn't file?
Okay.
Let's
Well,
do a whole number on that.
Well, first of all, you could file for an extension, which is what you should do. And if you haven't done it, do it today, because there's 2 different penalties you're going to get. Well, 3 with interest. There is a penalty the IRS will charge you for failure to file, and there's a penalty for failure to pay, and then there's interest on those, and it gets up there pretty quick. Now, it's only been a couple of days, so if you haven't filed your return, file an extension. That'll qualify. So then you have 3 days. So it won't be a big deal on a penalty, right? Then on your taxes, everyone should have their own account. You go to the IRS, they have an ID.me account, so you could actually pay and do things online, pull transcripts if you wanted to, but you should actually go into your account. Otherwise, create one. This takes 2 minutes. And then you go in there, find what says payments, okay? And there's a button there. You drop down, and you can make a payment. It'll say for this or for that or estimated. So just say estimate. Just pay whatever you can. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, because it'll count. But cut off that failure to file penalty right now. Either file your return, which could be amended, or just file the simple form for failure for extension, okay? And then they'll save you the penalty. Then you call me, because you can't pay. We got to work out a resolution with them, right? So that's fine. You also may have taxes from before, right? So to do any tax resolution matter, you actually have to be compliant, right? So by filing your extension, you actually are compliant. You owe money, right? Or you're going to owe money, right? But we could figure that out and work out a deal with the IRS.
Kevin, what I have learned from hosting your show is I want people to understand, don't try to do this on your own. You're going up. It's almost like David and Goliath. You're going up against Goliath. That's why we have attorneys like Kevin Benjamin on our show, that you have somebody you can trust, somebody you know is going to take care of you. Kevin, I got to tell you, I do a lot of research when it comes to tax relief companies. And I see a lot of these big companies with these multi-million-dollar advertising budgets. And you start delving into them, and you see all the people that they didn't mind taking their money, but then they could never get them to return a phone call. And some of those companies are even out of business now. You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, some of those are out of business, or they just changed their name.
Yeah, right.
DEF tax. We fight for you. We settle for pennies on the dollar, they all say, right? And they have all the secrets. Those are just call centers. They're not doing anything. They're just taking your money. Some of them may do something, but there's nothing. They're just chains spending all that money. They got to make a certain amount of money to pay for those ads, and they take every case they can. And there's a lot of turnover in those things. Who knows who's working on the file? You know what I'm saying? With me or people like myself, you're dealing with me. You know what I'm saying? Or other smaller firms, you have a little more personal attention. And I do that same thing on our legal side with the bankruptcy stuff and foreclosures and stuff we do, litigation. So, the personal attention, we're not a high volume practice. So we
There
prefer
was
that way.
an attorney, Kevin, I don't remember if you remember her. It was all over the news, so it's not like I'm releasing any private information. There was an attorney, Raleigh Deutsch, and she spent,
Ronnie Deutsch.
yes, spent a fortune advertising
Yeah.
about tax relief, and she ended up going to prison.
Yeah, there's a sad story. That was a while ago. They were pretty big. She got overwhelmed, I believe, with marketing. I don't think she intended to do that, but I think I saw her in an interview with after all happened.
Well, I'm just saying that bigger is not better.
Oh, yeah, that's the point. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but then, everyone's just going big, and then you get overwhelmed. You got who's doing the work. Then there's turnover, and then who's supervising, and it's just a fast machine. And got away from her in that case, so it didn't work out.
Well, I know that customer service is very important to you, and we're kind of doing it opposite this month. We normally start off with bankruptcy, but because tax day was the 15th, just a few days ago, we're going to start off the first half of our show with tax relief, and then we'll go into our bankruptcy show. Kevin, what are some of the common misconceptions that taxpayers have about the IRS when it comes to collections?
Well, some people think they could take all your money on a garnishment. Garnishment is still a portion. They think they could immediately take it. They don't open the mail, so they don't know there's appeals processes and things like that. They think they can come to your house. They're not. The IRS is not going to email you. They're not going to call you. Okay?
I'm glad you said that.
So those are all scams. I get these texts and stuff. It's ridiculous. I get clients from a law firm. Oh my God, the IRS just called me. Like, no, they didn't. No, they did. No, they actually didn't. Don't give anybody your credit card or bank statement. Don't.
Well, they call you
those phones. My clients call and someone calls them, and I tell them that's a scam. But they're so powerful.
So the IRS, they're probably not going to email you. Would they call you?
No, they're not going to call you.
Okay, so it's going to be by letter, by mail.
Yeah. And there's official letters, and they give you all kinds of information, and there's different codes on the letters. So you just give them to me or whoever's helping you out, because I know what it means. And you have appeal rights and deadlines. But then actually, like, you may have a notice of intent to levy, for example, right? Or final notice of intent. And then it say give you 30 days. Well, you hire me or somebody else, we could put a power of attorney in there, talk to whoever's in charge of your case. It could be automated collections. It could be assigned to a revenue officer or a revenue agent, or what stage of the collection process you're in. And you get a hold on it. And because the IRS, they want to settle. So if you got a professional that's contacting them, it's like, oh, good. Now they got someone, who's going to help, get it done. And then we'll do the intake with the client, make sure they have all the returns done, whatever. So they're compliant, and then analyze it for whatever resolution we think they can handle or qualify for. If it's more than one, go over with the client, submit to the IRS, and start negotiating if it's a negotiation, or if it's not something that's not accepted. So, but by contacting them, and the IRS will give us time to, hey, let me get information from my client, the documents we need, and have a conversation. So you'd be surprised, they actually prefer, I can't speak for them, they prefer probably to work with a professional. Same as it's someone in court with a lawyer. There's people going pro se, or in California, maybe they call them pro per, whatever. But when they represent themselves, and it's always a hassle because they don't know what they're doing. They go on Google and I think they know what they're doing, but they don't, especially procedures and stuff like that. And the court loves when, just get a lawyer, and, it's really, you don't want to deal with the IRS yourself. I've had people who have done that, and they did their own installment agreement. What do you need anybody else for? Well, I guess if you're just paying it back in full, you don't. So, if you can afford to do that, and maybe you have to. If you hire us, maybe you might be doing that. But we got to qualify for other things. But like I have people that call me, they can't pay it, or now they've got taxes coming due, right? So now they're not filing returns. Now they're not compliant, so they're going to be kicked out of the other program anyway. Right? So you got to redo it again. And I asked them, who did the first installment agreement for them. I called the IRS. They sent me to a link. So how can we do an offer in compromise? You got to qualify for an offer in compromise, and everyone doesn't automatically qualify, but you got to analyze it for it. And they said, "What's that?" It wasn't one of their options. The IRS gave them, I guess, not in that link. So they're just saying, "Pay me." So, but the IRS wants you they want you in the tax system, and they want people paying who they can, and they'll work out the payments. You got to show stuff, and depending on where you are in the collection process and how much you owe, will dictate what kind of documents we need, or how many documents, or how far back. Depending on what you owe and where you are, there's some base streamline programs where we could, make offers or compromises or some, very quickly without a lot of documentation. Okay, so that's why you have a professional. Or maybe you're like 5,000 over one tier, right? And you have some money. I'll pay 5,500. Let's get on the under tier now. We'll do a streamline. Let's document faster, stuff like that. So there's all kinds of strategies. Plus, you got to know what you're doing. You want to know when does that tax expire? The IRS has 10 years to collect. It's called the CSA, the collection statute expiration date, right? But there's tolling events and things that's paused, like if you're in an installment agreement or you file bankruptcy at a certain time, it tolls it. But you got to, so it's not just 10 years. So you got to actually calculate it the right way, because you may owe like 40 grand. That may be over 3, 4, 5 years. So you got to analyze each tax year. What's the expiration? And also, at each tax year, is it eligible for discharge in bankruptcy? Not that you want to file bankruptcy, but can you? I mean, if it's 10 grand, you're not. But suppose it's $100,000, and maybe someone wants to file BK if they qualify. You know what I'm saying? So, and for my clients, I actually do both, because not a lot of tax professionals aren't in the U.S. tax court like myself, and they're also not bankruptcy lawyers, so they don't always know the rules, and even if they knew the rules, they actually can't even do it, so they refer it out. But that's how I got into this, because the bankruptcies, the way you analyze someone on a repayment, restructuring Chapter 13 or personal Chapter 11, is liquidation analysis, assets, IRS standards, and with tax resolution, it's different IRS standard numbers, but IRS standards, what's the value of assets, what's the liquidation amount if they were to collect, plus your income, and so what's the reasonable collection number? The IRS will settle for what the reasonable number is, right? So that's where you negotiate. You don't negotiate, hey, I'm giving you 7 cents on the dollar, I'm giving you 30%. You're negotiating the number. I say, hey, this account here doesn't count under the IRS code because it's for whatever reason, so you can't use that in the number. They say you can't. Then I'm arguing or going over their head to the manager or whatever to get that resolved, whatever. Or okay, what's the equity in someone's house? You're not selling your house, okay? But what's the equity? What's the value? I mean, sometimes that's a negotiation. Or you may submit something and they say, no, you're taking $700 for a car payment. The car payment's over in 3 months. Okay, but then they're going to get another car payment. So so that's how you're negotiating the liquidation analysis, and then your cash flow. What can you contribute? And then there's a number, right? So let's say the number is $10,000, right? If you owe $100,000 and you qualify for offer and compromise, it's 10 cents on the dollar. If you owe $1 million, it's a penny on the dollar. Still 10 grand either way. So, but if you owe $1 million, I just sold you for a penny on the dollar if I got you on that. Otherwise, they have installment agreements, full pay or partial pay installment agreements. So, which is paying partial. Sometimes you qualify for more than one. So then we got to say what's better for you. And let's say you qualify for both, but man, it's a much better deal on the offer and compromise than the partial pay. Well, you may qualify for offer and compromise, but then again, if we qualify for partial pay, the government's going to analyze what's best for them. So if it's a big discrepancy, they may turn down the offer and compromise and just say, we want you on the partial pay installment in this, general example. Or let's say the partial pay number is, it's higher than the offer and compromise, but not so great. They may go with the offer and compromise, because on a partial pay over years, what if, what if it's not collected? What's the cost of monitoring it and the risk of it not going through? So it's very much like settling a case in litigation, saying, or insurance companies with personal injury. It's like, what's the litigation cost? That's always factored in. Someone's suing you for 10 grand, but are they going to spend $20,000 litigating the case? Saying so. Those are all factors. So, and that says why you have a professional to go over those things with you. Like, what should we try for? What do we submit? How to negotiate with the IRS, and keeping them off your back. You don't want to. I'll talk to them. You don't have to talk to them. And then you don't have to worry about being levied or garnished unless I tell you, and right, and go from there. Otherwise, there's a whole, a lot of misconceptions about the IRS. Some people say they, again, they could take everything. Well, sort of, not, they can't just go take it. They're going to, give you notices. And if they're actually going to seize an asset, there's a due process, there's notice, and then there's ways to try to resolve that. Or if something is seized, there is a procedure to try to get it back. Obviously, these are more complicated matters, and it's not your regular type of case. But for right now, with the tax day, as we said before, just either get the extension on file, pay what you can towards the taxes for estimated taxes for 2024, if you can, and then call me or somebody else, and let's get going.
Kevin, we do about 50 shows a month, and I get so many emails. But the emails that we get on your show, first of all, people love when you tell them about experiences you've had with other clients. And you have seen probably so many times where someone tried to handle their taxes or problems with the IRS themselves, and they got themselves into deeper problems, and they came to you. Can you share some of those stories?
Well, yeah, like I was talking about. Hang on, my light just went off. Like I was talking about the persons who did their own installment agreements. I'm saying, or the person I had in a criminal case, right? He didn't even know he was in the criminal division. He come to me, I don't even need you, but I'm just going to hire you. Okay, while you're here, it's just it's just 5 or 6, 10 grand, whatever it was, and maybe it was 15, but hired me, and then I talked to the IRS and I got notifications, and he's in the criminal division. So I gave the guy a call, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm talking about you're in trouble. Okay, you guys are taking this crap seriously. And when I say give me letters, don't give me a picture of one page from your phone. Text it to me. Take this seriously. I need to see what's going on. Got the turned out he was scammed. So I think I got him out of it. I got the IRS convinced that he was one of those ERC credit scams that's really big across the country. He got taken. But, he's still responsible. So we had to amend. I had to get in there with the IRS and convince them that, to go after the person who scammed him, that he was innocent, return any money that he got. But in his case, he actually didn't get the money. Okay. So we can show that it wasn't cash. But anyway, just too many details. But, those kind of stories. Or people in bankruptcy. I have a client right now. She was, pro se. I had one of those non-BK preparer companies do this. It's just paperwork, they say, right? You just fill out some forms. So it didn't work out so well with her first 2 lawyers because the U.S. trustee came after for fraud, bankruptcy fraud. She had her discharge denied, and there's a lot of trouble. So then she was referred to me, and we're resolving that without her getting in trouble. But she's paying me for that now. Plus, I think she learned that doing it yourself didn't quite work out. I have another client that called me yesterday. I did a case for him in December. He didn't pay. Then he called me up in a month or so ago. Hey, you got to file Chapter 13 stuff before foreclosure. I said no, because you can't file in bad faith. You can't file with the intent not to pay the bank just to delay them, and I'm not going to sign that. Okay. You can do it yourself, which you did. So then he called me yesterday. Hey, it's being dismissed. Oh, you filed yourself? Okay. Did you file any documents? So what are you calling me? It's going to be dismissed. You think it's filed the case, you don't have to pay anything, and then you just stay in your house forever? That's fraud. So and I've been dealing with this one for a while, and there's all other examples of that. But that now it may cost him his marriage. But now he's talking to me a little. So I've been talking for like 9 months, right? His attitude is completely better. Like he was really angry before, but I don't know why. I'm just trying to help. Why even keep in the house? It's worth minus 140. You tell me it needs 30,000 in work. Why would you try to pay it and catch up when you can just, for what? You know what I'm saying? Just move. Why trying, It's like, yeah, I think you're right. Well, that was right 9 months ago too, but
Yes.
just go, because people don't understand. Oh, but it's my house. But okay, then go rent. You don't have to pay property, especially like in Cook County, Chicago, huge property taxes, right? Or let's say homeowners association fees, like in Florida, huge. Well, even here they're big. So okay, you own something, but what you're not. How much equity are you having besides the cost? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying don't buy real estate or live there. There's reasons for that, but it's all taken into consideration. So sometimes renting is fine too. I mean, if you're paying the mortgage, trying to catch up on the arrears and fixing up that it's your house, you got to get the new roof. You're paying so much more than you can just go rent a place. Let's say you're paying $5,000 with all that stuff, but you can rent a place for $2,000 because you're not paying back $100,000 in arrears, which is a huge payment, per month you're making right there. That $3,000 difference, there's your equity. You saved $36,000 a year that you could actually not be stressed out on and have a life. I'm saying, or invest that money. Or go buy an investing property or something like that. So, there's people who lie at the creditors meetings. In the old days, like in bankruptcy, you would have the meeting of trustees with in person, right? And when you walk into the room, there's always these huge signs, bankruptcy, fraud, 5 years prison, 250 fine, And so I come to Jesus for some clients. They do the meeting, and it's like, oh, so anything changed? Oh yeah. I tell my lawyer. And like, well, no, you didn't. But this is like before we had the internet, and you could do I do asset and lien search. I never get surprised. But people think they're pulling one over, and they're not. The trustees, the U.S. trustee, the judges, the experienced lawyers, we've seen it all. You heard it all. You come to me for a consultation, whether it's tax or bank, whatever it is, and I can tell them you're lying. Or if you just give me a written questionnaire, I can tell it's BS because certain questions, by the way you answer one question, the other, it can't be.
Right.
And it's not like I'm so the genius, but everyone in this, everyone knows it's a red flag, right? Why be a red flag, especially if you're attorney-client privilege? I'll try to help you. Because most of the time people think they, because they talk to their buddy or something and someone knows, or these wannabe attorneys, right? They're their friends. Don't tell your, I've got clients, don't tell your lawyer this. I had a case with, he had firearms, right? Okay, so it's an asset, right? You list it. It's not worth that much. There's certain exemptions. Otherwise, if you owe, like this guy was over $1 million, right? If you owe that and you lost the $1,000 gun, okay, so what? But then again, there's exemptions you could use to keep it, or sometimes you just buy out the equity with this, right? So there's no big deal. But why you're risking $1 million? Now I have a case in because someone told him, right? Well, no, you don't tell your lawyer everything, right? I have a case in Florida, over 6-7 million, right? And in those kind of cases, when you owe a lot of money, people are looking to object to discharge or object to their debt, right? So why are you trying to keep some credit cards off, which, by the way, they find out anyway. You can't omit creditors, you know what I'm saying? So so I'm going to keep those 3 credit cards. Well, first of all, you're not, because the bank's going to close it anyway. Second of all, what's a couple $1,000s in debt? Get another credit card. Oh, but okay, keep your credit card. Don't file and pay back the $7 million. I mean, it's just stunningly ignorant. I had another guy who was the same thing. It was a lawsuit, and then I'm doing the case. I said, well, what about this other lawsuit that you got sued last month? Oh, no, that case is BS. And I didn't ask you it was BS. There's a question on a disclosure form. List all litigation you're in, suing or defending, or can make a claim on somebody. Just disclose. That's all it is. And it's not about being guilty or not. And it's just amazing, because those are the kind of things that could get you non-discharged in bankruptcy. Now applying that to tax with the IRS, very similar. I'll find stuff the same way I do with my bankruptcy clients, right? So before we submit something, I want to make sure it's accurate and we know what we're doing, right? But if something's omitted, just the way a trustee in a bankruptcy case could find stuff. So could the IRS, and the IRS is even stronger, because they're the government. They got every tool in the book. Every tool in the book to do what they want. My light just went out. Sorry. So so you don't want to do that.
Hey, Kevin, I just got a text from Ron in Chicago. Really enjoying the show. I just found it. I will become a longtime listener of the show. I'm glad you're talking about taxes today. And he wants to know, I keep reading that the IRS is going to be losing 20 to 25,000 agents.
Yeah.
Is it going to be harder to reach them?
Oh yeah, it already is. Even for lawyers, Now, I mean,
Well,
if someone's assigned in the collection process you were mentioning before, if someone's assigned to a revenue officer or revenue agent, I have a direct contact. That's great. I'm saying it's like, but if you're like in the automated collection system still, haven't been assigned out yet, or maybe don't have to be assigned out yet. Oh, it's a nightmare. You got hours on hold. Then they give you the courtesy disconnect, but basically means they just hang up on you. And then, or the person you talk to, they just give you a quick answer because they're not really trained and they don't always know what they're talking about. So they just want to get the phone with you. So that's okay. I know the person's wrong, but then I got to call back and get somebody else, but that could be 2 hours. So it's all day. So it was getting better because when they under the Biden administration, when they were putting $60 to $80 billion into the IRS, right? And they were hiring a lot of people and so things were getting a little better that way, at least, right? But now it's going the other way. I mean, I had a guy over 1.something million owed, right? He was in, it was worse than the revenue officer's agent. It was in the non-compliance division, right? And he was they really were looking at him. But I was talking to the IRS for months. I'm like, okay, you're in this. Who's the person? When's it going to be assigned? Oh, 2 weeks. Okay, 3 months later. When's it going to be low? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're threatening my guy, for all that time, right? We're trying to make an offer. No, what's your, well, I mean, I'll put it in writing to you. I mean, I'm thinking X, you know what I'm saying? Well, you can make a payment. I know we can make payments, okay? But I want to resolve the issue. And then it's like, we wound up having immense returns. It was saving $300,000. Gave them to the IRS, but before it gets in their system, it's like 13 weeks, something like that. Okay, so now you want to negotiate a number that doesn't exist. Because in this case, it wasn't going to be an offer and compromise. It had to be an installment agreement. But I'm not negotiating to pay back $1.something million when I think it's like 780. You know what I'm saying? So, and they know that, but they had to wait until it showed in their system. So it's just kind of frustrating, even for lawyers. I mean, trying to beg them to assign the case. So,
Rick in Chicago wants to know, do you know why Wesley Snipes went to prison?
I believe years ago, we didn't pay his taxes. This is what
Yes.
it was. Was he a conscientious, one of those objectors? I don't recall, but I know it was about taxes. And I mean, I have a client now that served time in prison. He didn't pay. He thought it was unconstitutional, which some people do. They have these websites and these seminars, and did you know? Okay, how's that work out for you? But now he knows. Now he knows. You know what I'm saying? And he says, "Yeah, I now I know." Or they have these what they call sovereign citizens, whatever. It's like good luck with that. And by the way, I've got some people who call and they start telling me this crap. This goes somewhere else. Okay, I'll help you resolve the problem, but I'm not going to tell the IRS that it's unconstitutional to do this.
That's a red flag.
Not filing any lawsuits on that and losing my life. So just go away. And I get that also in the law side. People are like, the bank committed. Well, maybe the bank did. You know what I'm saying? But then I say, well, show me something. Like last week, someone showed me something. Like, well, you got this. You're calling me up. You got all this. No one's helping you. And then you give me this. The proof is what? that, they didn't take the money out of your checking account, so it's their fault your payment wasn't made, you're still responsible for that, to make the payment. You know what I'm saying? And because what the court's going to say is, for 10 months, okay, then the money's in the bank, right? Oh, but it's not. Oh, so you spent it. So it's like, or the bank has to give me a loan. They don't have to give you a loan amount. Okay, they're not going to do it, and that's not fraud. They may have fraud in the way they transferred or false charges, and there are things the bank does, but loans can be bought and sold, or they have servicers. So it's all very similar as people's perception of, because they go to a seminar and it's like, oh no, the bank has to do this, or no, they don't have to do anything, unless I file something in court, like a Chapter 13 or Chapter 11, and make them do it, or
Right.
I mean, up to what you're allowed to under the law. But there's ways to solve things. But yeah, I mean, people all the time try to help, or their spouse or boyfriend.
Kevin,
or
I'm going to tell you, one of the things I love about your practice, and I hope you will appreciate where I'm coming from. You don't sugarcoat anything with your clients, do you?
No, actually, no. I think I think they appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm a cut to the chase guy. I mean, I'm an attorney. I deal in facts, right? So I understand people in my field of law, foreclosures, bankruptcy, IRS coming in. Everyone's stressed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So am I. You know what I'm saying? Because I got people stressed out, and I'm fighting people in court. So I get it, but it's just don't call and just start babbling. And then like 2 minutes in, like, is there a question somewhere, or or they give you the play-by-play, and then I called the bank, and then I said this, then they said this. They sent me, and they go, so what are you giving me, your life story? It's like, I mean, at a certain point, I want the general questions, but I've been doing this a long time, whether it's tax or foreclosure. I'm going to ask you a question. Just give me an answer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is before you give me the questionnaire. Someone just called.
Right.
But
it's so important, whether it's bankruptcy or tax relief. Your client has to be totally honest with you for you to help them.
Yeah, and most of them are, and some I can tell that if they're lying. When I do my stuff, I always have questions for them, asking them questions. But I know when someone doesn't. There's a difference between lying and not knowing. Like I had a client that, you have the house though, right? There's equity there. It's my wife. Only I'm in. Are you sure? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I haven't had that ever. She brought it before we married. Oh, okay. So, but if I file this case, he's got an interest. In that case, it's going to be a problem. So I check. I'll check anyway. And I'm like, hey, you're on the house. Well, I didn't know. I know you didn't know because it was 2014. You got married. She gave you a quick claim. She put you on. You probably knew back then, but he wasn't being the stepson, so I wasn't mad. But that's why I do my job is to find it. I had someone else some situation. No, I'm not on the house. And like, well, actually, you are, and you have been. But the good news was the way they did it. There's certain exemptions you can take without going into a big thing. They had the proper way it was held to exempt the thing 100%. I was able to do his case still. He owed over 7 figures, also over $1 million. But obviously, even owing that much money, he wouldn't have done it if, like when I told him on the house, he's like, oh, I can't do it. Rest of the house. That's the bad news was you are on it. The good news is it's okay. Because the way you did it, you're actually going to be okay. I can actually do this. But that's why I went in this example. Prior to that, right? He's referred to me by a lawyer friend, right? He's a friend of his. So, I give all my clients attention, but, at one point when I was asking for information and he was ignoring me, I just told my friend, hey, thanks for the referral, but, him go somewhere else. He's wasting my time. So then the guy started, doing things, but it was always like pulling teeth until the house thing came up. And then when he realized I actually maybe know what I'm doing, and he actually cut out of this thing, and, he's always very responsive, you know what I'm saying? But, some clients, and he, again, he wasn't trying to hide, he didn't know, and the other guy didn't know, but there are people that I know they know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got 4 cars, what do you think, I'm stupid? Just because they have a loan on it doesn't mean it doesn't show on title report when someone pulls an asset or lien search. What are you thinking? the trustee could do that too. That's what I do. And, how much is it worth? Why do you have a car worth $100,000? Oh, you got your car payment is $10,000 a month. Well, I got bad news for you. You may qualify for Chapter 7, but doesn't mean you can get discharged, because even though you're a business debtor avoiding the means test, someone could object, saying the U.S. trustee may object, saying he's $10,000 a month for a car. So you're not entitled to that. Is what I'm trying to say. Everyone thinks they're entitled to all these different things, and they get upset. But there are situations where someone's living large on a house or a car. There's a need for it, and it's not an issue. But that's why you have a lawyer. I'm saying. So people just got to start disclosing things. And I to answer your question, another example, someone called me, wasn't to become a client because he was a jerk, but he had a business, was going on business, but now, hey, I'm just living, he bought a franchise, right? So I'm just living, he's in default, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm living with my sister now, company's gone, blah, 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 blah. And so, okay, ask him some questions about equity, blah, blah, blah. So you got divorced a few months ago. Yeah, but that's over. Okay, that's great. But was there the house, right? Oh, yeah, we sold it. Okay, well, did you get any money? Yeah, but that closed months ago. Okay, I'm asking for the third time. How much did you get? 170 or 168, whatever. Okay, for his cut. Okay, where is it? Oh, that's gone. Well, that's a problem. It's gone. It's been 2 months. They're going to ask where it went. Is it under the mattress? That's bankruptcy fraud, right? Oh, you paid your sister or someone. Got bad news. They're going to claim that they're going to do it's called a preference, right? So they're going to do a preference action, and they're going to come get it. No, they can't do that. I don't have it. I said, no, they can do it, and they will do it. And just because I'm giving you an answer that you don't like, why are you arguing? He's like, I don't like your attitude. I'm like, hey, man, you're calling me. My time is not free. So, there's 40, 50 lawyers on Google. I guess call them. Then call them. I don't give a crap. You're wasting my time. You know what I'm saying? But then, there you are, still on the phone with me, right? So I was just telling you, you're in, and I told him how I could handle it. Because there's BK planning you could do, which is legal, and timing of things. But you got to be able to show things that are legal. That's why you have a lawyer. Now, what happens in these kind of cases is they call somebody else, right? So just like I have lawyer friends, everyone does this. Once they find out that their lawyer knows, I'm saying, they just call the other lawyer and don't tell them whatever they told the other one.
Wow, I can't believe
try to get that done. But depending on what it is, because some things you wouldn't know. If you owed your brother 30 grand on a loan, it's not on your credit report, right? But so I wouldn't find it. Maybe the trustee wouldn't, but guess what? A creditor may know that, right? Boom, you're not discharged. Ex-wife, ex-husband, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, or anybody who hates you, right? You file bankruptcy, they're going to come to the meeting of creditors. Oh, he didn't disclose. That's how people get busted. I had somebody, your question again, people hide, again, they were annoyed at me because my questionnaire, I'm asking questions so I could help them. And they give me these half-assed questionnaires. And again, this is years ago, and they referred to me, but I had enough, and it's not I got to bring you in here in my office and for 2 hours. How much is your bank account? You're logging into your, what am I, secretary? You know what I'm saying? And then you get to the part, oh, furniture. Well, I know where they live, right? The neighborhood, right? Nice neighborhood, nice house. So, oh, you only got a couple thousand in furniture? Really? Yeah, that's really weird. I got nothing, really. Oh, okay. It turns out I found something online. You were being sued, you mentioned. I found that. And then they had discovery in there. I said, you have a homeowner's insurance, right? Yeah. Okay. It's an exhibit in the case where you have your exhibit on the insurance on what you own, what's being insured in your house. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hello, oh, you just saw their face, like unbelievable. So it's like, I'm trying to help you. You're like lying to me. You know what I'm saying? That's how dumb you are. Somebody else came in very similar. Oh, they borrow money from a friend, probably $500,000, maybe more, right? I said, well, guess what? When someone has money, and now it's personal, right? They're going to hire a lawyer to go, try to contest this. That's okay. I know what I'm doing, but, I have to be able to be in the right? Because if not in the right, you're going to have a problem. And again, it was a furniture thing, right? Oh, not a lot of furniture, right? I said, okay. So this is a friend of yours, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, my daughter and her daughter are buddies. So this friend of yours who loans you the money, who's pissed at you, has she ever been in your house? Again, stuff's on the face. So like $50,000 in paintings. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
my God.
It's like, you would have, and I wouldn't know, what
Right.
was in, I know it's not too grinding and it doesn't make any sense. It's a red flag, you know what I'm saying? So I finally got it out of him, but it's like, I'm just trying to, keep you out of jail, you know what I'm saying, for bankruptcy fraud. Plus your discharge will be denied and then they're really coming after you. So I said, I could, got to do a different kind of case, or I got to try to work it out somehow, but that's why you have a professional. Okay. So, that was
Kevin, we've only got a few minutes. I want to get this in. We just got a text in from Ron in Kane. Is there a Kane County?
Kane County, yeah.
Oh, okay. In Kane County, he said, I cannot believe your show. He said, for the last 3 months, I have been so worried that I am behind with the IRS, and we're going to give him your phone number in just a minute, that they can come after my wife. And I was looking through the podcast on Spotify and saw your show. I cannot believe I found it. I've been listening for the last 30 minutes. Can the IRS come after my wife for if I owe taxes? Okay,
there's a thing called innocent spouse, which is something I'd have to discuss with them, because if the taxes are filed jointly, yeah. But then again, if it's an innocent spouse, if she qualifies for innocent spouse, you can get them off that. You know what I'm saying, but if this person would have called me last week, or we had the show last week, I would just say, because I don't know if they just filed their returns jointly or if the issue is from 2024. Because if that was going to be an issue, then you just don't file jointly. And then that tax year wouldn't be an issue then, because she's not on the joint return. But if it is on the joint return, yes. But that doesn't mean it can't be resolved if it's truly innocent spouse. So, and maybe it is. So definitely what's the person's name? Where's the question?
Ron and Kane.
Ron and Kane County.
We just gave them your phone number.
Go to BenjaminLaw.com. BenjaminLaw.com. They can go to BenjaminLaw.com, and then there's a contact me on there also. It's actually a holiday today, so no one's answering the phone. But
yes, we gave them 312, and we're going to give this out now. 312-853-3100. You also can be reached at attorney at BenjaminLaw.com.
Attorneys, plural.
Attorneys, plural. I'm sorry. And it's on YouTube. Any other way they can reach you? What's your website address, Kevin?
BenjaminLaw.com. BenjaminLaw.com. Attorneys at BenjaminLaw.com. Kevin at BenjaminLaw.com works. 312-853-3100 works. I'll give you my direct line right now, 312-239-3148. So Greg and Kane, or whatever, you can call me now if you want. We're closed, but I'll answer the phone. Well, not this minute.
Kevin, have a blessed Easter. We're going to be running the show again next week. We are so lucky to have your show. Kevin, thank you so much, and we'll see you live again next month.
Great, thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.
That's attorney Kevin Benjamin. Listen, we hope that everybody has a happy and blessed Easter. I know we'll be celebrating at our church on Sunday. Juan, have a happy Easter. We'll see you all next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.